I've been hearing a lot of rumblings lately about a market crash and that the foreclosures and the forbearance is being lifted are going to be the cause of that crash. So that's what we're going to be addressing today, showing you guys some reasons why we feel that is not going to happen. So stay tuned to that. But before we get started on that, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification as well. For every subscriber we get between now and the end of 2021, we will be donating $1 to hashtag #WyattRWarrior. So support a great cause, find out some more information about the real estate market, and hit that subscribe button. So I've been having a few people call me asking what I think is going to happen now that the forbearances are lifted, and if that's going to lead to a bunch of foreclosures hitting the market or a wave of foreclosures hitting the market, and then if those foreclosures are going to cause a housing market crash like they did 15 years ago. I mean, ultimately, that's kind of what happened 15 years ago when we had the big bubble burst, right? We had too many homes go into foreclosure, a wave of foreclosure homes hit the market, and it really just tanked the market. A lot of that happened though because of lending. Lenders were giving out more money than homes were worth. They were doing stated income loans, giving loans to people who couldn't afford those homes, and that really caused the market to inflate, and that is what caused the burst. So let's look into some numbers and see what's actually happening right now and what's going to be happening with all these forbearances and foreclosures. First things first, there are fewer homes in trouble this time. Right now, most homeowners, even the ones that are in the forbearance or were in the forbearance before it was lifted, they have equity in their home. So after the last housing crash, there were about 9.3 million households that lost their homes due to a foreclosure, short sale, or because they just had to give it back to the bank. At the end of October this year, the total number of mortgages still in forbearance was just over 1.2 million, and that is far, far fewer than the 9.3 million households that lost their homes just over a decade ago in the crash. So if we look at those 1.2 million homeowners that were in the forbearance, of those 1.2 million, 93% of them have at least 10% equity in their homes. And the key to this is that 10% equity gives them the equity that they need to be able to still sell their home and get out from under it without doing a foreclosure. And by doing so, it saves them and the market from being flooded with foreclosures. It saves them so they can walk away from the home without having major hits to their credit scores. Now, you might be asking, what about that remaining 7% that don't have the 10% equity in their home? If, let's take worst case scenario here, and if those 7% all had to do a foreclosure on their home, of those 1.2 million homes, that would be about 85,400 mortgages going into foreclosure. And, you know, I hear that number and I think, oh man, 85,000 homes hitting the foreclosure market, that seems like a lot. But if you break it down and you look at that number being what's happening nationally, not just here locally in Utah, giving that number context, the annual foreclosure numbers for the 3 years leading up to this pandemic, so keep in mind, remember, we're at 85,400 if all of them hit the foreclosure market. So 85,400 compared to in 2017, there were 314,000 foreclosures. In 2018, there was 279,000 foreclosures. And in 2019, there was 277,000 foreclosures. So the probable number of foreclosures coming out of that number hitting the market from the forbearance program is nowhere near the number of homes that we've had, you know, in the last 3 years, let alone that hit the market 15 years ago when we had the crash. So it's actually less than 1/3 of any of those 3 years, you know, 2017, 2018, 2019, leading up prior to the pandemic. So again, we're just not worried with the number of homes that would be going into a foreclosure situation. That being said, if the people in forbearance don't realize that they have the equity to sell their house and they think they're out of luck and they just go into a foreclosure, that number could fluctuate, right? That number could go up. But hopefully those people who are struggling are realizing that they have the equity, they can sell their home and not face foreclosure. Now, what's it going to mean when these people either get foreclosed on or when they're about to be foreclosed on, they have equity and they want to sell their home? Can the market hold or accept that many new listings flooding the market? Short answer is yes. We're going to talk about why here. So based on this graph, when we look at foreclosures hitting the market back in 2008, there was an oversupply of houses for sale. We had, you know, a little over 11 months worth of inventory of homes for sale, which is really, really high. In a perfect market, we want 6 months. So 11 months is high. Now, looking at this today, there is less than a 3-month supply, hence why it's a seller's market right now, right? We have a shortage of inventory and a high amount of demand. So looking at this, obviously looking at today, with the 3-month supply of inventory, we can easily accept those homes, and it would actually push us closer to a 6-month supply of inventory, which would balance out the real estate market, in my opinion, a really, really good thing. So looking at the data, all of this indicates why Ivy Zellman, who is the founder of the major housing market analytical firm Zellman & Associates, she stated, and I love this quote, and we're going to finish with this: the likelihood of us having a foreclosure crisis again is about 0%.